Throughout my life as an anime fan, older shows like the Big Three and Dragon Ball Z have always seemed to be the peak of anime in both quality and popularity. But with series like Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen taking the world by storm, that might no longer be the case. But this makes me wonder, has new gen anime finally began to surpass the old gen? Before we talk about how the new generation anime might have surpassed the old generation, we gotta talk about what made the OG anime hard. We gotta talk about what made it good. So honestly, I think, and I don't even want to sound like an old head, but it kind of feels like the OG anime, you just had to be there for it. And let me explain. With the older anime, it always just felt like there was such crazy, like it felt like the stakes were higher. So when we got to see Naruto become Hokage, that really meant something to us because we had sat through and read 700 chapters or watched 500 episodes of Naruto, right? When we saw Ichigo Bankai, it meant something to us because we had seen Ichigo get beat by Byakuya earlier in the series. We had seen him train for his Bankai with Urahara, train for those 3 days. We had seen all that. When Luffy pulled up on 2 Yonko and smacked Kaido and said he'd be the Pirate King, that meant something to us because we remember when Luffy couldn't hang with even admirals, or Luffy was weak in Marineford. We remember these scenes, and it's like, it just feels so satisfying. I feel like with new anime, it feels like sometimes that's not the case. And, you know, obviously this could be a pro and a con, but it feels like overall, it just felt like the storylines had bigger payoff. Like, I just think that was a big thing. And that's honestly with the length of a series. Even talking about things like that, it felt like when we talk about peak or pure shonen, I don't know if it can get any better than what we had back in the day. The Big Three are called the Big Three for a reason, right? Like, imagine you're an anime fan in 2010. We talking about you watching Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach. So in 2010, you see Naruto fight Pain, you see Luffy in the midst of Marineford, you see Ichigo fighting Ukiura. It doesn't really get harder than that. It felt kind of like the anime sphere or anime scene was just so, like, it was just so enriching at that time. And that's kind of funny because overall anime is just way more popular now than it is back then. But it just felt like having been through all the storylines kind of grew up with the characters to a degree. And we see Boruto, even though the show Boruto's trash, it means something to us because we're like, damn, Naruto's really grown up. We've grown up with him. That's a big thing, right? I think at that time, back in the day, with OG anime, like shonen was at its peak. Like, I don't know if you had a collection of shonen back then as crazy as it is now. Like, I don't even know if you want to count Death Note and Fullmetal Alchemist as old OG or new gen. I think enough time has passed that they're probably closer to OG anime than they are new. But those series, like, we talking about those, you throw the Big Three, Dragon Ball Z, it's like, damn, shonen at its peak, like, shonen was really, really in its bag. And I think that's stuff that we kind of don't really, that we take for granted. And I think in addition to that, something that OG anime had over new gen anime is iconic moments. Shout out my boy Heavy. Shout out Heavy Weather, you know what I'm saying? Like, subscribe. His channel should be on the screen real quick. Heavy Weather made a video. He was like, yo, what's more iconic, Gear 5 or Super Saiyan? And I think even he in the video was like, let's be honest, it's Super Saiyan. Super Saiyan, Bankai, Gear 2. Like, there's some shit in OG anime that just isn't getting touched. Like, there are people that have probably never even watched an episode of Dragon Ball Z. Someone's hair goes golden, oh, they know it's Super Saiyan. Like, it's just certain things like that. OG anime just has it on lock. And that might even be an unfair standpoint because I think a lot of things that have to do with iconicness or just things along those lines is time, you know what I'm saying? Something can't be iconic. You won't really have a moment that's iconic the day it dropped or 2 weeks after it dropped. It takes time for it to build that iconicness. But hey, I ain't gonna lie, bro, old OG anime have that. So with that kind of stuff, like, you have to look at it, it's like OG anime seem grander as a result. No one's touching the Saiyan saga. And don't get me started on Dragon Ball Z, because if you watch my video about Dragon Ball Z, y'all know how I feel about it. But even so, us anime fans, it's almost like a certain level of respect you have to put on shows like that, or arcs and series like that. Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, they're like a grandmaster. They just have that certain allure to it, that aura, right? That's the argument for the OG anime. You can't lie. That's a pretty good argument. But let's be honest, bro, there's more to it. And I think this is a thing that you'll notice with new gen anime, because I talked about how the storylines and payoffs are great because of how long the series are, but I gotta be honest, that could be a con as well. Because when we're talking about new gen anime, one thing they do really, really well is they have almost no filler. So if we're talking about OG anime, for the most part, like the Naruto, the Bleaches, and the One Pieces of the world, they had this crazy thing that y'all all know about, and it's called filler, right? Obviously, the anime was catching up too much to the manga, they had to throw the filler on you. And filler's trash for the most part. I mean, there are some series that do filler okay, better than others, but filler overall is just not a great thing. The way new anime are structured now, it's so much better. So we obviously have, it's a seasonal thing, right? Most anime besides like One Piece are pretty much seasonal. So you'll get the season, you'll get the anime, and boom, that's it. Like, you're gonna wait a while before you get the next arc in anime. And that leads to two things. That leads, one, the manga of the series to be way farther ahead than the anime, but it also leads us to having virtually no filler. And when you're watching a series in real time, like when you're watching a live series, that filler stuff really means something. Like, no, people hated on Naruto for years about the filler. And obviously now it's a little bit better because Naruto's over, but at the time, I know there were people that after, like when Naruto lost to Sasuke in part 1, it's like, damn, what is going on? Why is he fighting a monkey? I don't know why he's fighting a monkey, but the real reason he's fighting a monkey is because it's filler, right? So that's a big thing as well. We have to talk about the no filler. And the second pro with new gen anime being a quicker series overall is that we can get into the plot and peak moments quicker, which leads us to have better pacing. Because let's be honest, a lot of issues people have with Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach is that the pacing is bad. One Piece is a series that people, I think I have a lot of friends, like shout out Kareem, you know, Jim, Shaq, they don't say, oh, I watched this many episodes of One Piece, or I watched this many episodes of Bleach, and it's like, damn, it's still not hard. And I'm always like, yo, well, One Piece is 1,100 episodes. So if you watch 20, what percentage is that? But that's still a hard ask of people. Like, why am I going to sit through 500 episodes or something just for it to get good? And not saying that that's how it is for those series, but it's like, it definitely is kind of a slog sometimes. Shout out Naruto, because Naruto did it pretty well, but for the most part, new gen anime, they jump right into it. There's almost no gap in time. There's series like JJK, within like 5 episodes, you're supposed to be hooked. Like, thinking about JJK, the first season, that's like, what, 12 episodes? Like, 12 episodes of JJK, and that's the entire season. So, you give me, what, 25 episodes? Which, for Bleach, that's like, are we even fighting Renji yet? I don't know. Maybe not, right? But 25 episodes of JJK, Toji dead, Gojo, a lot of stuff's happening right now, you know what I'm saying? So it's just a difference in pacing. I think that means a lot in terms of getting people to watch the series. Like, that means something. It's a slog. So we have to talk about that. Manga spoilers ahead, so you know what I'm saying, just so no one gets spoiled. On stream with my friends, we talked about Gojo versus Sukuna, and we spoke about how the hype of the manga was crazy unique, and I kind of compared it to, people talked about how the hype of Gojo versus Sukuna is all time, and this has never happened before. And I was kind of thinking about like, oh, what about Naruto versus Sasuke? But people in the stream kind of pointed out like, yo, it's not the same, because imagine the pacing of the Four Shinobi War, like the manga spoilers of JJK, which I'm not gonna lie, we all know is a little bit annoying, but nonetheless, the hype and crazy moments, the crazy hype of the manga spoilers being dropped that same day, it only happens because the pacing is so good. The new gen anime have the pacing on lock. Like, look at like Fire Force, Demon Slayer, all these shows, they're not that long. They're not even 100 episodes, some of them, right? And even if they are, they're like kind of like My Hero, where they're cutting the seasons, and the seasons are a lot more stuff gets done in that time. And that's a point for the new gen. Like, that does mean stuff. And I think even overall, I think this is another point we can kind of talk about why we want to look at the shonen might not be as hard in the new gen. I think when you talk about the top tiers of shonen, it's like JJK, and you go like Fire Force, My Hero, Demon Slayer. And I know a lot of people don't like Fire Force and My Hero. They don't think they're that good. But I think the overall climate of anime is just way better in new gen than it is OG. It's just way better with the new generation than it was back in the day. Nowadays, there's some crazy anime coming out that's taking the world by storm. It's like you can find an elite anime for anything you want to watch. And I feel like back in the day, it really wasn't the case as much, you know what I'm saying? And even adding that to the fact of, I'm not even talking about things like animation, art style. And while art style, I think, is a little bit more subjective, there's no argument for animation. Say what you want about Demon Slayer. You could talk about anything. You talk about the plot, blah, blah, the ending. It doesn't matter at all, bro. It doesn't matter. The thing I gotta speak about with Demon Slayer is the animation, because that shit is hard. The animation for Demon Slayer is one of a kind. The animation for the new generation anime it's just off the charts. And it's like, this means something. I always say all the time that Demon Slayer's water looks better than the water I have in my house. It looks better than the water you have in your house. That stuff does mean stuff. I think it honestly makes the product of new generation anime low-key better than the OG ones. It's a lot of stuff like that where it's like, okay, well, back in the day, like, they were great series for their time, and I think that this points out that OG anime, they might have seemed like better viewing experiences, but when you come back and watch them now and you compare them, like, critically thinking, some of them don't all stack up. And I think we got to kind of talk about that. We might be at a point in time where the new generation anime surpassed the old. And honestly, I didn't think that this would happen. 2016, the boost of like Black Clover and My Hero, Boruto, those series just didn't seem like they could ever supplant OG anime. Now that I'm looking around and the dust is settled, You have things like JJK and Vinland Saga. I'm looking around and I'm like, whoa, hold on now. Anime might be as good as it's ever been. But let me know what y'all think down below, because this is a very subjective topic, and honestly, it all just depends on what y'all think. You think OG anime are still better than the new ones? Do you think the new ones have surpassed the old ones? Do you think they're equal? Like, what do you think is the best? Just let me know. You know what I'm saying? Let me know down below. Obviously, thanks again for 1,000 subs. This is like the first video that I've actually recorded since then. So I appreciate everyone who helped me on the journey. You know what I'm saying? It's meant a lot to me. Appreciate everyone that's helped throughout the process. And now, you know what I'm saying, we're on the journey to 2K subs. So you know how it is. We're always striving for more. But yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe. But I'm out. So peace.